What's up, Capoeira Nation? Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for every single of you that are listening to this Capoeira podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, if you are tuning in right now and if you are listening to this episode, please, 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 I know you're watching or I know you're listening. Okay, I know you're following me on Instagram. So please give me a subscribe on YouTube. I'm trying to get to the 100 subscribers. I know it's a tiny bit, but slowly we can grow together, and slowly I can grow even bigger. The more I grow, that means more information for you. So soon, very very soon, I don't know when, I'm going to start giving away some capoeira gear. Could be a capoeira hat, could be a capoeira shirt, could be a capoeira something. Okay, so please, capoeira sticker. If you like stickers, please give me a subscribe. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. Listen to this episode. It's going to be fun. It's always fun with the Capoeira Experience podcast. Thank you so much. Let's roll. What's up, Capoeira Nation? Welcome back. Always welcome back to the Capoeira Experience podcast. Thank you so much for every single of you supporting the podcast by listening. I know you're listening. I hope you're following too. And I always love connecting to the capoeira community. Doesn't matter is if you've been doing capoeira for 80 years or doing capoeira for one day. The point of the podcast is for you to share your experience. And that being said, I want to introduce my friend Cachorrao. How are you doing, man?
Not too bad. How are you, Instructor Kashishi? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And thank you so much for reaching out, because I know, and shout out to my good friend Sokechi, your professor.
Mhm.
And thank you so much
Yeah,
for Sokechi. I know you listen now, and thank you so much for referring the podcast.
no problem. Thank you. I never imagined being a guest on a podcast before, much less one about capoeira. So this is a really exciting experience for me. Thank you again for having me on.
Yeah, of course, of course. Thank you so much, man. And so, really really short story of yourself. How long have you been doing capoeira?
I've been doing capoeira for about 7 years. Prior to me starting capoeira, I had trained in taekwondo for about 10 years.
Okay.
And I was aware of capoeira before that. But towards the end of my taekwondo career, or my experience in taekwondo, I became aware that capoeira was here in Toronto where I live.
Oh,
But
cool.
out of loyalty to my instructor, uh, my taekwondo instructor at the time, there was no way that I was going to train anywhere else or
Yeah,
do
yeah.
anything. But eventually, I wound up quitting taekwondo, and I decided that I wanted to get back into the martial arts after a few years because I realized what a positive impact being involved in martial arts had on my life. And I made a few calls around to a few schools. I wound up visiting a Muay Thai school. I tried a class, and it was really cool. But then I remembered back to this capoeira school that I would drive by on my way to a music lesson that I was taking at the time, Professor
Nice.
Sakechi.
Yeah.
Professor Sakechi's class. Anyways, I knew where it was. And I decided, hey, why not just try one of his classes? I thought the schedule wouldn't work out for me, but something told me, just try a class and see how it goes. If you don't like it, you can always do the Muay Thai thing.
Yeah.
I went to Professor Sakechi's class, and within 10 minutes, I said, you know what, I'm staying here.
That's so
And
cool.
it's been 7 years ever since then.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Do you remember the year, like specific year?
2013.
That's awesome, man. Whoa.
I think in
Well, you just say 7
May.
years.
Yeah, 7 years then.
Yeah. Let's do the math a little bit.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. That's pretty cool. And how, before that, how do you know about capoeira?
I had first sight on a late night talk show. A capoeira group was invited to appear on this show, and that's where I first saw it. It was amazing. It blew me away.
That's so cool.
And then I had a friend who was involved with the Black Students Association at the University of Toronto.
Okay.
And every year they would put on a big performance for Black History Month, and they would invite a capoeira group to perform at those Black History Month events as well. And I also became aware of it then and saw it. The video game Tekken,
Oh, man.
Gordo,
Yeah.
all those things had made me aware of capoeira and that it was in Toronto as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And how far was it? You said it was on your way to work?
It was on my way to a music lesson that I was taking at the time.
Okay.
And it was very close to where I live. It doesn't take me more than about 20 minutes to get to class every day.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's really cool.
It's worked out really well in that respect. It's just convenient for me to get to here. And of course, Professor Sakechi is an awesome instructor, so it's worked out ways.
Oh yeah. No, he provides a lot of like really great information. Because I remember when I did the class with you guys, it was really, really cool.
Yes, your class was good as well. It was really awesome for us to have that exchange.
Yeah.
When we were having online classes, you taught an online class for us, and Professor Sakechi taught an online class for your guys as well. So that was really awesome. I really appreciate that experience. And thank you for making that available to us.
Yeah, no, of course. Like I always told Sokechi, and I always, since my first interview with Sokechi, he was like, man, I really like your work because I admire a lot of people that follow the path of, I'm going to open Capoeira studio. I'm going to open classes because it's not easy. It's not
easy at all. Yeah.
But I see his commitment, and I'm like, man, I want to have you on the podcast. I want to learn from you.
Yeah, he's a fountain of knowledge.
Yeah.
He's very excited to share. To share and very easy to learn from.
Yes. He on one of the conversations I had with him doesn't matter how much knowledge you have if you don't share it.
Yes.
Which is and that sticks to me until today's day. I think the interview was one of my first interviews with him. Was probably, I don't know, man, at the beginning of the year, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and before the pandemic, have you get the chance of traveling with Capoeira and all that?
Absolutely. Most of the traveling I've done over the past few years has been for some Capoeira events.
So cool.
That's one of the most amazing things about this experience that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
I thought when I first started training, I would do a couple classes a week, hang out with the guys or whatever, and that would be it. But he's kind of taking me all over the world. I've been to San Francisco. I've been to New York. I've traveled all over Toronto. I've been to Montreal here in Canada.
Nice.
I traveled to Brazil twice.
Nice.
Because of Capoeira.
That's so cool, man.
Yes. Prior to COVID, yes, I was moving around a lot.
That's awesome. Now because I tell my students, and there's one of my students that she's been listening to the podcast, shout out to Colorida, every single time, all the episodes.
Yeah, I remember her from the online class.
Oh, cool. Nice. And I always tell them, of course, she's included, that traveling with Capoeira is really, really cool because you get to meet a lot of people.
Absolutely.
You get to make a lot of new friends, and of course you get to learn even more. So on that experience, on those years of you traveling, how do you feel like the interaction with new people and meeting new groups if you guys went to new classes?
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. As I said before, it wasn't something that I was expecting out of this experience, but something that I embraced early on. It's been really awesome to travel to different places, to meet new people, to experience different cultures, to experience different cities, to learn from different mestres, to see different students and how they play. It's been really awesome to be hosted by other people when I visit new places. I guess that's one of the side benefits of traveling for Capoeira. It's kind of affordable in that there are people who will take you into their homes and allow you to stay for free. And those have been some of the most awesome experiences I've had. Sitting down for dinner with someone who was inviting me into their home to stay with them, or having breakfast with them, and having conversations, and learning about them and their lives, and sharing a bit about myself. I never expected that. I remember the first time I traveled for Capoeira, and they said, "Oh, you know what? There are people who will take us." And I was like, "What do you mean there are people who will take us in?"
I know.
It's okay. I'll pay for a hotel. I don't want to burden anybody. I didn't realize that this was a part of the experience, and something that I would encourage students to embrace. The last time I went to San Francisco, I went for Mestre Itabora's event, and I made it a point. That was in 2015. I made it a point to actually stay with somebody because I wanted the experience of meeting people and having that discussion, that getting that closeness, and that was something that I wouldn't get had I stayed on my own.
100%. So the first couple times that you travel for Capoeira events, you stayed in a hotel?
No.
Just with people.
No, I stayed with other people.
Nice.
I offered to stay in a hotel, and
Okay, okay,
Professor
okay.
Saket said, no, it's
No.
okay. You can
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
with these guys.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because my wife is also my student,
Mhm.
and I always told her like it's okay to wherever we go, you just message someone and be like, hey, I'm from this place, I'm going to the event, and it's okay if we stay with you guys. Oh yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm.
Or the people that are organizing the event, they tell you like, oh, you're going to stay with these people, or you're
Yes,
going to stay with these people. And
that's usually how it's worked out for me. The people
yeah,
organizing the event, they said, hey, these guys are going to take people in. We're going to connect you with those people, and you can stay with them. And I
yeah,
would
yeah.
encourage people to take advantage of that.
Yeah, yeah, and she was like, "What? How we stay with people? Why? Why?" It's like, "Don't worry, it's okay, it's okay. I promise, it's going to be really fun." And since then, we every time we go to Capoeira events, it's like, "Who we staying with?" Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, and I say this almost every single episode. Capoeira was made to bring people together.
Yes, yes, yes.
And if I don't know if you have listened to any of the really early episodes where I think it's we contra Mestre Bamboo,
Mhm.
where I'm talking of doesn't matter where you're from or
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
you speak different language. When you start playing capoeira, you speak the same language.
Yeah, that's very
It's really
true.
really cool.
I would imagine that that was the experience that a lot of the early capoeiristas had, the enslaved people who were brought to Brazil. I'm sure there were
100%.
people who came from different countries who
True.
didn't necessarily speak the same language, and they had to find a way to communicate with each other. And I would imagine that that's sort of how capoeira came about. It was a way for them to sort of communicate through movement and
True.
allow them to fellowship with each other and
Oh
to
yeah.
come together. And so that's probably why capoeira still works that way to this day, because that's sort of how
Hundred
it
percent.
originally came about.
100%. Because just imagine this, like even in the Africa, in different countries and those small countries, they have like tribes, and
Yes.
more
Yeah.
of those tribes, a lot of those tribes, they enemy tribes. So
Hmm.
when they come to or when they brought to Brazil,
Hmm.
it's like, dude, we can be enemies here, man. We
Yeah.
gotta we gotta do something together
It's
here.
just us. It's just us.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
So
maybe they weren't necessarily enemies. Maybe they just had different cultural practices, that they didn't speak the same
true.
language.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
sorts of different reasons.
hundred
But when
percent.
they
Yeah.
got to Brazil, they had to figure it out. And I would imagine that that's part of one of the reasons that capoeira came about. It was a way for people to sort of communicate initially
Hundred
through
percent.
movement.
Hundred
We may
percent.
not speak the same language, but we can sort of do the same thing. I can go here, you can go there. And
Yeah.
out of time, I guess that's sort of, I'm not a historian,
Same.
but
Same.
sometimes I think about, how did the capoeira happen? I'm
Yeah.
sure that was part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's beautiful, because man, those like again, I met people from France that they just
Mm-hmm.
but back in Venezuela, I didn't speak English at all,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to communicate. But when
Yeah,
we were in the Hada, man, he's like
yeah, you can have that. You
just
can get
playing.
that
Yeah.
connection. Yeah.
I have 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And now coming to this year, how are you feeling with the online classes? How
So,
versus the in-person classes?
initially, now we're having things have opened up in Toronto to the point where we can start training in our academy again,
Nice.
observing social distancing rules, of course. There's also some rules we have to follow about not getting too close to each other and whatnot. But we're able to be in the academy now. But initially, when Toronto first went into lockdown, all of our classes were online. And I got to really shout out Professor Sakechi again, because those classes were amazing. Those were just
Oh
as
yeah.
effective and just as much of a learning experience, just as much of a workout as it was when we were in the academy. And it was a relief to have those classes, because at that time, back in March, I guess you can remember, everything was changing. Everything was turning upside down. And so
Yes.
it was a
Yes.
relief to have something that sort of stayed the same, even though it was a bit different. Yeah, we weren't in the academy anymore, but we were still together somehow. We still
Yeah.
managed to keep that connection. I could still have a conversation with people after, working on my computer by myself all day. I could still see people who I was familiar with, and I could still get that good workout. So initially, online classes were amazing for that reason, just
Nice.
because it
Nice.
maintained, I could still maintain a sense of normalcy. I could,
Yeah, yeah,
something that I was doing before everything turned upside down that still stayed the same. So the online classes were really amazing for that. And Professor Sakechi at that time really took it upon himself not just to teach the class, but to re-examine our group's approach to capoeira. He really started to ask himself, okay, what's our philosophy? What's our base? What do we do well? What can we improve? So
yeah,
that time wasn't just the time for us to have class. It was a time for us to see how can we do things better. And so that time in training up until now has still been really valuable for that reason. Yeah, we can connect with each other, we can work on our capoeira, and we can hopefully try to improve it and understand it better. So it
yeah.
worked out really well for us in that respect.
Yeah, yeah, because I know that I got to see some videos on Facebook where you guys were training a lot of basics too, right?
Yeah, it's a time to go back and look at stuff. What are we doing? What's a part of our base? What are the fundamental things that we should be comfortable with? Let's work
Yeah,
on those because of course we can't have hardest right now, right? So
yeah, yeah,
it's a bit disappointing, at least not for us here in Toronto. And sometimes I was thinking that could be a bit of a distraction because even when we have class, yeah, we're doing this movement. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's really awesome, but when are we going to have the harder, right?
I
And
know,
that was
man.
at least my approach. I was really guilty of that.
Yeah,
So maybe
yeah,
there were some things that I wasn't paying as much of attention to that I should have been paying attention to. And having those online classes, training now, has forced me or given me the opportunity to focus on those things that before COVID, I really wasn't doing well
yeah,
or I wasn't doing at all. That has sort of been a side benefit of all this that has happened. I mean, if I
y-
had to choose between COVID and no COVID, I would choose no COVID.
oh, for
But there
sure.
have been, there have been some positive things that I've gotten out of this experience because we have no choice. This is what we got to do. We got to make the best of it. And
Yeah,
in making the best of it, yeah, being away from part of slowing down a little bit, being forced to work on drills and sequences, you can start to think now, okay, so what do I really need to work on?
yeah.
For
You
me,
you
that has
have to
been like,
focus more on
yeah, yeah,
what are you
focus more.
actually doing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And obviously, you said that you prefer the person to person class.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, but do you think it would be really good for us as a teachers or instructors to keep offering online class once quote unquote we go back to normal?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I've noticed that there are some people who may not necessarily be able to get to class every day because
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
they
true.
live too far. Maybe
Yeah,
they had to work too late. Maybe they're just a bit too tired to get into the car that day.
yeah,
But if they have the online class, because right now, even though we're back in the academy, Saketch is still broadcasting classes online. There's some people who still join online because
that's awesome.
it makes more sense for them because like I said, maybe they had a really long day or they're too far away and they can't get to class that day. But having the online class still gives them an opportunity to train. There might
Yeah,
be some people who want to train with you and maybe they live in another state. But if you
100%. Yeah,
have the
yeah.
online class, you still have the opportunity to reach out to them, to connect with them.
Yes.
So yes, that's been another sort of side benefit of all this craziness.
Yeah.
People have been really forced to embrace technology. And I think if we continue to embrace it coming out of COVID, that's going to provide a lot of benefit to people who want to train capoeira, but who may not be able to physically get to a class.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
it's better to go to class, but in the absence of not being able to go to class, if you can offer something online for people, that can still give people the opportunity to embrace capoeira. And maybe they
100%.
might be too nervous to go to a class. Maybe they'll try the online class first. And then they're like,
True.
you know what?
True.
I want to play in that harder that I'm seeing online. And I'm going to come to class next time. So
Yeah, yeah. Now I can
absolutely,
join the personal class.
absolutely having an online offering when things get back to normal. Yes, I'm on board with that totally.
Nice, nice. And for example, like if you do you think it would be really good for us to like set up like programs or stuff
What do you mean programs?
for example like beginners programs
Mm-hmm.
like I was about to I want to start like a beginners program
Yes.
where a very beginner can come to class
Mm-hmm.
like you said, like just at home,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then they join
Yeah,
the class. You think that would be a good idea for
I think that's a good
us
idea. I
as a
think
teachers?
there are all sorts of ways that you could have an online offering, and that would be one, an introductory online course where
Oh, that
somebody
would be a
can,
word. Yeah,
in the comfort of their own home, start to train the movements,
nice.
maybe familiarize themselves with the language, some of the concepts, some of the songs, so maybe it's not too overwhelming,
Yeah,
and obviously, and then sort of entice them to come into the academy.
true. Yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds good to me. A beginner
Okay.
online course. Yeah, that would be
Oh,
awesome. I'm
cool.
sure
Okay.
that
Okay.
there are probably some people who over the past few years that we have not been reaching because
Yeah.
we have not necessarily embraced this technology. And maybe there'll be more people who you can reach online than you would have before, that you were missing before, that you didn't know that you're missing because you didn't have something online. So
That's a
having
very
like
good
this
point.
beginner
Yeah.
online course, yeah, that'd probably be a way to bring in other people who maybe are excited or want to go, but maybe they're just nervous about going to
Or
the
shy your
they're
stuff. Yeah.
shy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No. Okay. Okay.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a good idea for sure.
Okay. Okay. And on these 7 years that you've been practicing capoeira,
Mm-hmm.
will you be like open to like online workshops? And of course, like I said at the beginning, that won't substitute the HODA,
Mm-hmm.
right? But like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
workshops, would you like those ideas too?
Would I like online workshops? I'm not sure because I'm full into the in-person academy
Nice.
experience.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not sure for me if I would want to do an online class because I go to class pretty regularly.
Okay.
And I just feel like, hey, I want to be there with the other people. But maybe if it was, um, maybe if there was somebody who I might have the opportunity to learn from, who I just would not be able to reach in person, that might be attractive to me. But like I said, I'm pretty active going to class and going to HODAs here in the city. For me personally, doing an online class since I train in person so often,
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily be on the top of my list. But
Okay.
like I said before, I think there are other people for whom that will totally work. And there
Okay.
are people, despite the fact that we're back in the academy, there are people for whom online works at least sometimes. It makes more sense sometimes. Maybe
Yeah,
they
for
do a
sure.
couple online classes, and maybe the weekend they'll get into class in person.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I don't imagine it now. Maybe if I was to try it, I would change my mind.
Okay.
But it sounds like a good idea for sure.
Okay. Okay. And you say something like something that I like to say it a lot. You are participating on classes very on a regular schedule.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So I think for us and probably instructors or teachers out there can probably agree or disagree with me, but I think when our students are participating even on the online classes
mm-hmm,
is more motivating
mm-hmm,
because we can be is how can I say is hard for us
mm-hmm.
or I'm gonna say it on a baby way. Okay, it breaks our heart to
Yes.
see an empty class, or
Yes, yes, yeah.
or you like you have on a normal base you have 10 students,
Uh-huh.
and then when you open the Zoom class, it's just one student, and
Mm-hmm,
then
mm-hmm.
it's like, man, like you want all those twins to come to class. You think the interaction as an instructor teacher matters a lot,
Mm-hmm.
or should we be more interactive? Should we be more compelling to for people to come to online classes?
That's a really good question. Um, sometimes just not having many people in the academy, sometimes I think that just comes with it. Because
Yeah, true.
we've talked about how good of an instructor Professor Sakech is, but even when we had online classes, there are some times where it was just me and him, or
Oh,
just
okay.
him and another student.
Okay.
Not to put too much business out there, but
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes
for
that's just
sure.
how it goes.
Yeah, no, good point.
And
Very
you
good
can
point. Yeah.
there's kind of like an ebb and flow to it. So
Yeah.
sometimes you kind of just gotta, ride the wave a little bit. Um, but yes, as the personality of the instructor is going to play a huge role in attracting students to his or her class. The
Yeah,
more
yeah.
open you can be, the more inviting you can be, the more sharing you can be of yourself, the more calm, and if you have whatever personality you can give of yourself to your
Yeah.
student, that that will attract them to you. So yes, I
Very,
think
very
it's
good
two
point.
parts. One, yeah, you kind of gotta just ride the wave. Sometimes it will be low and sometimes it will be high.
Yeah.
But always yes, give the best of yourself, and that will. I think that will attract students to any instructor. You don't necessarily have to be like, I don't think like this instructor or like that instructor.
Yeah.
You're more like who you are, and your authentic self is coming out, and you're a good person, then
Yeah.
people will be attracted to you.
For sure. I like that. I like that. Yeah, because it's not the same on be like, okay, melody French. Okay.
Mhm.
And, you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
more, you have to add that spice to the class, and
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
because it's from this perspective of and again, instructors or teachers can agree or disagree with me, but when you standing on this side of the screen
Hmm.
trying to put that energy out is
Hmm.
hard because
Hard, yes, yeah.
you don't get it back. It's just like
Absolutely.
you
I
have to
totally agree.
come on guys, and everybody's just is like, oh man,
Hmm.
I need that person to person energy, you know.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I totally agree. It makes it a little bit harder not having that personal connection, that physical connection with that person who you're trying to teach. So I guess there's more onus on the instructor to put more energy out there to make sure that it's getting to the student.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. And what do you think about like online music classes?
I haven't tried it.
Yeah, okay, okay,
Um, I guess it could work. I mean,
okay,
there's no
okay,
reason why with enough ingenuity and creativity, you can
100%.
make anything work. Incidentally, before COVID, I was taking salsa lessons,
Oh, cool.
and my salsa instructor invited me to a test online class on Friday because he has opened up his salsa school again, but he has noticed that not everyone is coming back. So he's trying to put together an online offering. Like, salsa is partner dancing. How are you
100%, yeah.
supposed to do
Oh
an
man,
online class with salsa? But he made it work. You
that's
know,
so cool. That's so cool.
there's the technology you can use to sort of break out groups. So you can have a whole bunch of students in your class,
Yeah,
and then you can sort of separate them, and you can pair students together. So that's sort of what
I like
happened.
it.
Not to put
Yeah.
too much of his business out there, but yeah,
No, no, no. Yeah, yeah. That's how it works.
share. But there are parts of the class where he sort of paired two people together, and one partner will do one kind of a dance, and another person will do a different set of movements that sort of mirror or work with each other,
Yeah,
and that way you sort of simulate the experience of dancing with someone else, but online. So with like enough creativity, I think you could make anything work.
for sure.
Um, it's always better to do it in person, in my opinion. It would always
100%.
be better
Yes.
to do it in person. But like I
Yeah.
said, that's not going to be available to everybody. Yes, a music class online, kind of hard for me to imagine right now, but I'm not the person to sort of come up with that idea. There's someone out there who's going to come up with that idea. Maybe
Oh
that's
yeah.
you.
Oh
You
yeah.
were talking about it. So if you have that idea in your head, I'm sure there's some way you can make it work. And I'm pretty sure that there have been online music classes anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've done them.
There's a
But
couple that I've seen.
yeah, is it a good idea? Yeah, sure. Anything can be a good idea, I think.
Yeah.
As long as you have a desire to make it work, someone can figure out how to do it.
Yeah, and word that creativity, right? And just like you said, make it work.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's gotta be a way.
Yeah. And do you think, yeah, for those students out there, um, kind of to start wrapping it up,
Mhm.
um, so some students they lost their jobs, right?
Yes.
And hopefully some of them they have it back.
Mhm.
But that communication instructor, teacher, student,
Mhm.
if they don't have how to afford the online classes, do you think
Mhm.
would be a good idea for them to communicate with instructor or teacher and be like, hey, I can't assist to class, I don't have the money right now, or should they just like be like, hey, I'm not coming to class anymore?
No, they reach out to your instructor for sure. Maybe they can work out something for you. Like everything is
Nice.
negotiable, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, if you honestly can't afford the class, the instructor may feel it's still valuable to have you as his or her student.
100%,
So they
100%.
may be able to work out something with you where, hey, maybe you don't pay now, but you pay later, or yeah, we can do, if you can't honestly afford the class, I think most good instructors will still want to try to work with you. So
For
I would
sure.
encourage any students, to reach out to whoever you want to train with, explain your situation, and see what sort of agreement you can come up with the instructor. I'm
For
sure they
sure.
would still want to have you.
Yeah, yeah,
It
for sure.
doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah,
What have you got
100%.
to
Yeah,
lose?
yeah. Exactly. You got nothing to lose because well, you probably lose capoeira class.
Yes,
If you
absolutely.
stop,
Yes, that's what you're gonna lose. Yeah, for sure.
if you stop, but if you communicate, there's nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose at all. No.
Yeah, 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 100%. And to wrap it up, what do you think would be from your perspective as a student, good advice to the capoeira community,
Good advice
or
in
whoever is
general.
listening? Yeah, yeah, just in general. As a student, because like I always say, doesn't matter if you're your instructor, your teacher, or at least from my personal perspective, we are always learning. Even us by teaching, we also learning because we it's just how I don't know how to specifically
Yeah,
put in words, but that's pretty much how the dynamic works too.
yeah, and I get
So
it.
from coming from a student, it's really good for us to learn from you.
Okay. Just in general, this is a really difficult time right now because of COVID and everything that's happening with it. And I've been thinking back to, like we were talking about earlier, the experiences that the early creators of Capoeira had as a result of slavery, and how somehow out of all of that they managed to create Capoeira.
100%.
So I would encourage all of us when things get difficult, whether you're an instructor or whether you're a student, to look to our foremothers and forefathers of Capoeira for inspiration as to how we can deal with this difficult situation that we're in right now. A burden has been put on us that we didn't ask for, but the same thing happened to them.
Yes,
Same
yes,
thing happened to them, and arguably worse. And somehow they came up with Capoeira, which has been a gift to the world, which has changed all of our lives, right?
yes,
So when things get difficult, I would encourage all of us to look to them for inspiration. They've literally made the blueprint. As cliche as it sounds, they've shown us that where there's a will, there's a way. They've literally shown us that. So I would encourage all of us in the Capoeira world, when things get difficult for us right now, when we get down, when things get challenging, and we're trying to figure out, well, how we're going to do this, how I'm going to do this online class, how I'm going to teach this person. Somehow they managed it. Somehow
100%.
they came up with something. Somehow they gave us Capoeira.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let's follow the example. Let's take inspiration from them, and let's use their guidance to try to solve our problems.
100%, 100%. I like that, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. And again, thank you so much for sharing your experience and sharing your perspective, because I love learning from everybody.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's been an awesome experience being on your podcast. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And let's keep in touch. And again, shout out to Professor Sokechi.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Shout out to
much.
him, for sure.
Yes, thank you so much, man. We'll stay in touch, and for sure, you guys are one of my first on list to go visit you guys.
Yeah, I'd love to go to Indianapolis and visit you as well. That would be awesome.
100%. You guys, all you guys have got a home here. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for getting this far. Remember, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up on Facebook or YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is going to help us and help me to get bigger numbers and bigger subscribers so we can give more information. Okay, please, if you're listening, I know you're listening, I know you're watching, please give me a subscribe, give me a like. Okay, I know you're watching right here or listening. All right, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening every single episode, especially the episode we just did. All right, thank you so much. Peace.